Hello, and welcome all to Movie Hunter, the show that tracks down the quality of all sorts of movies. My name is Hunter, and today in the 63rd episode, our target is Muppets From Space, produced by Columbia Pictures and Jim Henson Pictures, and distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. In an earlier draft of the story, written by Kirk Thatcher, the film was called Muppets in Space, as opposed to Muppets From Space, and would feature Kermit the Frog being abducted by aliens, believing him to be their leader, leading to the other Muppets going to save him. The changed version of the movie was inspired by Gonzo's song in the original Muppet film from 1979, the Muppet movie, called I'm Going to Go Back There Someday, which Gonzo's actor, Dave Goelz, did re-record for this movie, but was not featured in the final cut, but can be heard on the Muppets From Space soundtrack. 10 years after the film's release, co-writer Joseph Mazzarino revealed that he had left production before shooting had started because of the changes made to his draft of the screenplay. He said that his draft contained parodies of the films Men in Black, Contact, and Alien, with Randall Kleiser being selected to direct the film. Shortly after shooting began, however, Kleiser was fired by the Jim Henson Company for, quote, not bringing enough vision. Joseph Mazzarino then hired Tim Hill to be the new director, who removed the parodies, wanting the film to be, quote, more real. Mazzarino also said that his ending didn't include Gonzo being an alien, but instead featured the aliens getting episodes of The Muppet Show and subsequently dressing themselves to look like Gonzo, believing him to be the ultimate being. Like the last Muppet film, Muppet Treasure Island, Frank Oz was unable to be on set due to conflicts with his directing career. As such, his characters, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Animal, and Sam the Eagle, were performed by other puppeteers, with Oz voicing them in post-production. For the most part, Peter Linz performed Miss Piggy, John Kennedy performed Fozzie and Sam the Eagle, and Ricky Boyd performed Animal, with Kennedy's and Linz's voices being heard in the theatrical trailer for the film. This film would mark the first appearance of the Muppet Scooter since the theme park attraction Muppet Vision 3D. His voice was done by Adam Hunt, the brother of Scooter's prior performer, Richard Hunt. Muppets From Space released on July 14, 1999, and made $22.3 million on a budget of $24 million. The film was directed by Tim Hill and written by Jerry Jewell, Joseph Mazzarino, and Ken Kaufman. It was produced by Brian Henson and Martin G. Baker, and the cinematography was by Alan Casso. It was edited by Michael A. Stevenson and Richard Pearson, and the music was by Jamshid Sharifi. The Muppet performers include Dave Goelz, Steve Whitmire, Bill Barretta, Frank Oz, Jerry Nelson, Brian Henson, and Kevin Clash. The live-action cast includes Jeffrey Tambor, Pat Hingle, Andy McDowell, Rob Schneider, and Gary Owens. Cameos include F. Murray Abraham, Josh Charles, Hulk Hogan, David Arquette, Ray Liotta, Kathy Griffin, Katie Holmes, and Joshua Jackson. The film opens with Gonzo dreaming about being denied access to Noah's Ark because he is the only one of his species, whatever that species is. This film shows all the Muppets living in the same house, with Rizzo the Rat being Gonzo's roommate. Gonzo laments the fact that he's the only one of his kind, feeling alone in the universe. Seeing messages in his alphabet cereal, Gonzo believes that aliens are trying to contact him. That night, he climbs to the top of the Muppet's house, where he is struck by lightning and is encountered by two cosmic fish who tell him that he is an alien and that his family is looking for him. Attempting to contact the aliens, Gonzo breaks onto the set of the show UFO Mania, where Miss Piggy coincidentally started her new job and having taken over the main news anchor after they are late. Watching this happen on TV, Kermit and Rizzo go down to the station where Gonzo is being taken by Edgar Singer, a government agent who desperately needs to prove to his boss that he did in fact find aliens, with Rizzo coming along too, pretending to be Gonzo's translator. The two are taken to Covenant, the government facility, where Rizzo was taken away to be a lab rat with a few other rats who make a plan to escape. Meanwhile, Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Animal, and Pepe the King Prawn go on a rescue mission, getting helpful inventions from Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. Gonzo, being unable to tell Edgar about the aliens, is going to have his brain removed and waits in a cell. In this cell, the aliens talk to him through a sandwich, where Gonzo tells them to meet him at a place called Cape Doom. But Edgar's assistant, Agent Rentro, played by Bobo the Bear, overhears. In the surgery room, Gonzo is rescued by the Muppets and reunites with Rizzo and the rats. Despite not really believing him, the Muppets take Gonzo to Cape Doom to meet the aliens. The aliens arrive and look like Gonzo, calling him their brother. Edgar then arrives, threatening to shoot the aliens with his big blaster, but the ammo was removed by Agent Rentro. For being so comedic, the aliens offer him a place among their ship, to which he agrees. Gonzo is about to leave with the aliens, but ultimately decides to stay with his family, the Muppets. Let's start with the star of the show himself, Gonzo. Firstly, it's pretty cool getting to see him in the center. He's a character who is always there in the Muppet films. With the last two films, The Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island, he played a bigger role than usual. But with this film, he really got to take center stage. The plot around him also makes a lot of sense, with a consistent theme throughout the franchise being that Gonzo has no discernible species, and is commonly referred to as a whatever. There is a certain unfortunate prospect in getting rid of that in favor of him being an alien, but I think they make it work, with the ending of him staying on Earth still making him a whatever in a way, and him sort of embracing that. Speaking of that, I have mixed feelings on Gonzo's whole story in this film. His arc of realizing the Muppets are his family is a sweet one, but it is also incredibly predictable and basic. Gonzo uncovering his alien origins just wasn't as gripping as I was hoping it would be. I'm not asking for a super in-depth or complicated story. The other Muppet films certainly didn't do that, but they did thrive in making a lot of fun twists within their basic central idea. Here, Gonzo's adventure plays out exactly how you'd expect it to, and there really isn't many surprises or uniqueness in how they tackle the story. There is one exception to this, where I do actually really like how the Muppets respond to all this, particularly Kermit. There's this one scene in particular which is both really funny and heartfelt, where Gonzo questions whether or not the Muppets believe that aliens really are contacting him, and Kermit essentially tells him that they don't, but that they'll still help him out anyways. And again, when it seems like the aliens aren't coming after all, Kermit comforting Gonzo is another really sweet scene. However, I must again complain, unfortunately, because I feel like these sorts of moments are sorely lacking in the film. This gets into a much larger issue, though, that I'll talk about more in just a second. To put an end to this section, though, Gonzo's story is easily the best and most enjoyable part. While it is really predictable, the charm of having Gonzo in the leading role does salvage it a bit. Also, Rizzo the Rat sort of being his second in command was a really neat detail, given that that was his role in the previous two films as well. Overall, I just think this part is kinda neat. Next, I wanted to talk about the more disappointing aspects of the film. Firstly, going back to the conversation about the Muppets themselves, I feel like the moments between the actual characters were sorely lacking. Despite this film introducing the concept of the Muppets all living together in the same house, which is an extremely charming idea, the characters themselves feel further apart than ever. This all stems from the idea that this film is the Muppet film that feels the most like it's just going through the motions. Those individual Muppet moments that really bring out those charming interactions between the characters are few and far between. The side plot where Kermit, Fozzie, Piggy, Animal, and Pepe go on a quest to save Gonzo and Rizzo feels really by the numbers, where these specific Muppets feel chosen to go on the mission just because they're the main ones, and for no other reason. Except for Pepe, who randomly has a much bigger role here than he ever has before. Like, I can't even remember him being in any Muppet film prior. I don't mind Pepe, but I much would have preferred someone like Rolf the dog being here. I do actually really like Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker in this film, though, with their inventions leading to some pretty funny gags. There are some other elements that also invoke a similar feeling. This is the first Muppet film to choose to not include original songs, instead opting to use licensed songs. And while the change isn't jarring necessarily, I much prefer to the original songs found in the other theatrical films, even if I didn't find the songs in the previous Muppet film to be all that great, that being Muppet Treasure Island. The villain is pretty lackluster, being rather unmemorable in the roster of Muppet villains, with the most notable thing about him being his sidekick, played by Bobo the Bear, who actually makes for a really fun character to see in a bigger role. The entire secret government agency is actually really underdone. The best thing here by far is, once again, Bobo the Bear, who is a really fun and charming character, especially in the finale. They did bring back the celebrity cameos in this film, with them not being present in the previous two installments. But unfortunately, this is also underdone. Hulk Hogan is perhaps the best example of this, where he is actually referred to as being Hulk Hogan, but it comes off as very clunky and off-putting. Unlike the 2011 Muppet movie with Jack Black, calling him Hulk Hogan doesn't really accomplish anything, comedically or otherwise. It's just a strange cameo that feels very last minute. Like Miss Piggy fought an agent earlier in the film, why can't it have Hulk Hogan played that character? That would have been really funny to see Miss Piggy win a fight against Hulk Hogan. Furthermore, calling and referring to him as actually being Hulk Hogan would have made that even funnier in this context and make more sense. In the grand scheme of things, these aren't deal breakers. After all, one quick look at the Muppet Show will tell you that the Muppets are no strangers to celebrity cameos and doing covers of licensed songs, but in the context of being a Muppet theatrical film, it's just sort of disappointing. I give Muppets from Space a 7 out of 10 for still being a Muppet film, being charming and full of funny moments, but at the same time, this is easily my least favorite Muppet film thus far. It's the Muppet film where I feel the most like it's just going through the motions of what a Muppet film should be, without doing anything extraordinarily outlandish. There are exceptions, of course, like the opening where Gonzo is denied access to Noah's Ark, but these moments are way too rare in a movie called Muppets From Space. In the end, this is still a good film, and I do still like it, and I even think that a rewatch might make me like it even more. But as is, this is definitely one of the more tame Muppet films. Well, that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and feel free to share any opinions you had on the movie. A new episode releases each week, so stay tuned to see which film I cover next. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.